What's up, everybody? Welcome to the video. We're here breaking down the USA Today 301 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway over in Loudon. And I'm not expecting the most exciting race in the world, but I also wasn't last week, and I was pleasantly surprised at Iowa. My favorite driver, Ryan Blaney, took home the dub. The one thing I wasn't a fan of was Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin getting wrecked in the same sequence within a matter of seconds. That was brutal. And nonetheless, I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the next one there at Iowa. Now, I want to mention this weekend, we have a lot of rain in the forecast on Saturday, Sunday, and even Monday. So we'll see what happens. I'm no weatherman. Maybe we get a break at some point. I guess we could run in the damp here at New Hampshire, but TBT as of right now. But anyway, if this happens to be your first time here, what's up? My name is Pennell. I break down NASCAR DFS each and every single week on this channel. Videos on Saturdays, live streams on Sundays, playing for around 1 p.m. Eastern, so come and say hi. Always a good time. And really quick, gotta give a shout out to last week's comment contest winner, and not for DFS, but thank goodness for me that Larson did not lead the most laps, because all of you commented Larson and that would have been a big headache. We had Z-Wall at Blaney, 135. He was the closest, and I believe he led over 200 in that race, so congratulations. And if you want to enter this week, all you gotta do is comment down below who you think is going to lead the most laps and how many, and the winner will get a cash prize. All right, stocks and strategy here for New Hampshire, and I think it would be easy just to say, play Christopher Bell, play Martin Truex Jr. That typically works out here quite often. But we'll have to see how practice and qualifying goes. But just looking in from an early week perspective, because I'm recording this part before P&Q, and the rest will be done after if we get it. Hopefully the weather stays clear. It's a bit of a coin toss right now around noon over in Loudon. But most similar tracks to New Hampshire. This is a 1 mile short flat track. So you're looking at Phoenix, Richmond, Iowa now, and Gateway. And we've already ran there at all these tracks so far this year. So we have a pretty good idea who's going to have speed. And if we look at my green flag speed chart here, which is a little preview of some of the data that I have over in the NASCAR model that I don't typically show you guys over on YouTube, it is over on the Patreon. It pretty much gives you a good idea of who we can expect to at least have some speed. We'll have to see what happens in practice, but I like looking at this earlier in the week. So the things I care about this weekend are how they performed at short flat tracks, 2024 overall, similar tracks, the tire combination, which I believe they are using similar tire for Richmond, Phoenix, Gateway, and also I believe the All-Star race, although I don't have that data compiled because it's the All-Star race. Although they're supposed to be trying to get more fall off with the tire this weekend, so I'll have to see how much resemblance that it does have. But anyway, I do have those tracks on there. So if we're looking at the short flat track numbers in the next gen era, no surprise, Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell at the top. Those have been the best drivers at the short flat track so far this year, and they're the top two overall. And then some familiar faces with Kyle Larson, William Byron, Joey Logano, Elliott, and Hamlin rounding us out. If we look at the 2024 overall numbers, probably going to see, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, William Byron, Truex, Gibbs, Reddick, all guys that we've seen have plenty of speed this year on the track. We're looking at similar tracks. We're looking at just Iowa, Phoenix, Richmond, Gateway for this season. And we have Christopher Bell, William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Martin Truex Jr., Logano, Larson, as we should come to expect. If we look at the specific tire combination, Christopher Bell is absolutely kicking the field's butt here at 3.25, and the next guy's Chase Elliott at 7.75, then Byron, Reddick, Blaney, Keselowski. Although if you, in a smaller sample size like that, if you have like one bad race, it's going to throw your averages off. But Christopher Bell has been fast in each and every single one. And if we average it out for the races that I want to look at, Bell, Larson, Byron, Hamlin, Truex, Blaney. So it's really just the same faces being recycled. So assuming practice and qualifying happens, these are probably the names you're going to see at the top of the board, and there's a good chance I'd say one of these guys will end up grabbing the pole. And finally, moving on to the driver by driver breakdown, I do have to mention one thing first, and that is, of course, if you want to join the best NASCAR DFS community out there, links down below in the description or the pinned comment for my Patreon. Lots of people over there. We'd love to have you join the community. But you get access to my entire NASCAR model, projections, all the data you need, color code nice and neat, so it's quite easy to follow. Optimizer, ownership projections, cheat sheets, my entire betting model, Discord community, and I do cover Xfinity and trucks for projections and MLB each and every single day in a similar fashion. So if that's something you think you'll be interested in, you know where to find it. Link will be found down below. And as you all know, I'm a partner of Stochastic, and they launched their NASCAR Sims tool amongst other sports this season. But if you want to help give yourself an edge on Sundays, check out their contest generator, pre-contest simulator, which you can find the link down below in the description. And you can upload my projections, your own, or the custom ones already set on the site to see which drivers offer the best ROI or which lineups stack up the best in tournaments. If you want to check it out and you know where to find it, just make sure you tell them I sent you. All right, it's the next day, and unfortunately, practice and qualifying got rained out for the most part. They tried to get a practice session in. I think it lasted like 5 minutes. And I just don't think that information we got from that practice session is relevant in the slightest. So I'm not even going to put it on here because I think it would just throw everything off. So we're going in blind this weekend for both Xfinity and Cup. That's always fun. I'm going to assume we might get a competition caution since we didn't really get practice in and we didn't get qualifying, so there's the chance of that. So just know, these guys up front, it could get shuffled around depending on what these guys want to do. But if you wanted to play a little bit lighter this weekend, I understand that because we just really don't have any on-track information heading into the weekend for Sunday's race. Now we can look at how these guys have performed at similar tracks this year, which is really all we're going to have to be able to base this off of. Let's get into it here. We have the 5-figure range, and Christopher Bell is going to lead us off, which should be no surprise. I showed you guys in the green flag speed, which I know a lot of you probably skipped that, but there's a lot of good information there speed-wise, and since we did not have practice, I'd recommend looking at it just a couple minutes before this. But Christopher Bell has been crushing it at these similar tracks this year, and I apologize if you can hear the thunder. It is thunderstorming, but we're going to have to power through. But he's going to be starting in 4th here, and he's going to be one of the top contenders here to dominate. He has just been absolutely crushing these types of tracks this year. He was an animal at Gateway, amazing at Phoenix earlier in the season. He was fast at Richmond. He was fast last week at Iowa, had to start in the rear on a backup car and still was one of the best cars in the field. So really what's not to like here? He also crushes New Hampshire. And this data set that we're looking at, 6 race sample size, it's going to be the next gen New Hampshire races and the 2024 short flat tracks, which are Gateway, Phoenix, Richmond, and also Iowa. I did not include Martinsville because it's a really unique track. It's the best average running position, has the most wins and the most fast laps in this sample size. We all know how good he is at short flat tracks. He was the favorite to open this weekend, and starting in 4th in the second round, I don't really think he's going to change that. So yeah, I'm fine with him in any format here, and he should be able to get dominator points in some fashion at some point. Denny Hamlin, $10,800. He's starting in 14th. So if we kind of group these guys together, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson are those hybrid race-winning potential drivers that offer a little bit of place differential. Then you have Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Blaney, and Christopher Bell that are starting close to the front that can dominate early and also contend for the win. So I don't think it's crazy to say that you'll have exposure to all 5 of these drivers because they all look like pretty solid plays based off how they performed at similar tracks this year, starting positions. And the prices aren't too bad. We only have one driver in the $11,000 range, so I don't think it's going to be hard to fit in 2 of these guys per lineup. I think 3 might be pushing it because it looks like as my eyes travel southward, we have some other really solid tournament plays that can dominate in the 9K range and also in the 8K range, maybe a little bit. So Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson, both these guys are going to be very strong plays. I think with the $800 discount we can get on Kyle Larson, he'll probably be a little bit preferred for me. If we're looking at their numbers so far this year in the sample size, they honestly look very similar. Hamlin has a win, Kyle Larson does not, but overall, dominator points are pretty even, although it's a bit of an edge to Kyle Larson. He's had some better track position, I believe, in a couple of races. So yeah, I like them both, but I'll have a slight lean to Larson just because of the discount. Very easy to get him over there, and I feel like he'll end up being one of the more popular plays on both sites, especially on FanDuel, only $12,500. And even if he doesn't dominate, if he finishes top 5, that's still a solid day at $12,500 over there. So I'm fine with both, but it's going to take a little bit for them to dominate. And then we're left with Truex and Blaney, who kind of find themselves in an odd spot at 10-5 and 10-3 because, while yes, they could dominate, they could win this race. Obviously, Martin Truex Jr. is amazing at New Hampshire. The most recent race here, I believe, was on a Monday, and he led like almost every single lap. So you cannot rule out Martin Truex Jr., although he is one of the most difficult guys to get right. Obviously, we didn't have practice. We don't know how good the car is going to be, but there's just some races where he's going to run 12th all day, and you wasted your time. But then some of these races, he just moves his way right towards the front, and he can absolutely crush it. We'll see which Martin we get. I'd be lying to you if I told you I knew. I don't think anyone knows. It's going to be a bit of a guessing game, so that's going to have to reflect in your exposure. The only issue I have with having like a ton to Truex and Blaney, because if you're playing a lot of Bell, which I think you probably want to this weekend, if you're getting exposure to Larson and Hamlin, because we didn't have practice and qualifying, we don't know how good these cars are going to be. Since they have place differential, there's a bit of a safety net there. But if you look in the 9K range, you have Chase Elliott on the pole, $9,200. He can dominate, and he is over $1,000 cheaper than Truex. William Byron can also dominate. He's $1,000 cheaper than Truex, and same can be said for Ryan Blaney. So I think they can run well. It's just a bit of a price tag to put with them, especially if you do want to roster guys like Bell, Hamlin, and Larson, who I think will probably be the more owned guys in that price range. So keep that in mind. They're going to be in the player pool because they have the ability to dominate. We have seen that in the past, and Ryan Blaney just absolutely crushed a short flat track. Got a little bit of help since Kyle Larson ended up breaking out. He definitely had the best car in the field. But in the tournament pool, but probably not going to have as much exposure to Truex and Blaney as I would probably Byron and Elliott, just kind of eyeballing it. I have not run projection or anything like that, so it's hard to say as for right now. But when you have guys that will probably project pretty similar and they come in $1,000 cheaper, it's just much easier to filter them in the lineups. All right, dropping to the 9K range, we have Joey Logano, 9,800 bucks. He'll be starting at 6, kind of in that same pool as Truex and Blaney, where they're kind of like second level potential dominators. Like obviously we know Joey Logano can run well here at New Hampshire. He's great at short flat tracks. We've seen that at a couple of races so far this year. So he's in the tournament pool. I don't think it's the most likely outcome that he dominates the race, but if he ran top 8 all day, stole fast laps, I wouldn't be surprised about it, but I'm not sure that's going to be enough in your like $10,000 to pay off. William Byron starting in 3rd. Very good card last week, only 9,500 bucks. I don't think he's ran extremely well at New Hampshire in the past, but if we're looking at the sample size here of the shorter flat tracks, only 1 top 5 finish, 2 top 10s, and has not really been a dominator. He was obviously very good in Martinsville earlier in the year, starting deeper in the pack, but track position always going to be important at these track types. It's yet to be seen how good the Hendrick cars are going to be, but they definitely have the track position to start, so he will be in the GVP pool. But for cash games, if you want to play Chase Elliott, I totally understand that. He has been one of the most consistent drivers all season long. He's going to be on the pool. He's only 9,200 bucks, and if he can dominate in any sort of fashion at that price point, it's going to give you a nice cushion, assuming he can stick around, which based off of what we've seen so far this year, Chase Elliott will probably stick around. He has the best average finish of all drivers this year. Looking at the 6-race sample size, he's got the 2nd best average running position. He has 3 top 5s, which is tied for the most with Joey Logano and Christopher Bell and Martin Truex Jr. And the downer points have not really been there too much, but he is getting fast laps, which is important, and that's something he can certainly do with track position. So I do like Chase Elliott here, and if you want to use him as your cash dominator, pair him with Christopher Bell, you can get 2 doms there, and I'm sure at that point you might be able to fit in Kyle Larson as well. I don't know the roster construction completely yet, but I could certainly see that being a very popular way to go as of right now. And then Keselowski is right there with Joey Logano, where he finds himself in a bit of a weird spot with the starting position. He's in the top 10. I expect him to run top 10. If you're looking at his sample size here, the numbers are very good. Average finish is 6.2, 3 top 5s, and he's finished in the top 10 each and every single time. And he's been fine at New Hampshire in the past as well. So I do think Keselowski is a nice tournament play. And if it comes down to it, I do prefer Brad Keselowski over Logano. We get about a $1,000 discount, and the dude's just been straight money this year. Dropping down to the 8K range, really not a lot of interest, I would say, in most of these drivers. I don't see myself playing too much Tyler Reddick. I know he finished 6th here recently, and he is good at Phoenix, and the finishes have been there at the short flat tracks. 4 top 10s and a 6-race sample size. I kind of prefer him at Phoenix. I don't usually play him at the short flat tracks too often, but I don't know, he just seems a little bit expensive for a guy that's probably not going to dominate and will probably borderline top 10. I would rather play Ty Gibbs. You get 6 spots further back. He's a JGR driver, 8,700 bucks. He's had some good runs at the shorter flat tracks this year, so I'll just lean towards Gibbs, but he's not like a lock by any means. He's still expensive, and I wouldn't say it's likely he dominates from his starting position. Ross Chastain feels a bit maxed out starting in 8th. If he was starting in the teens, I think he'd be an excellent tournament play because he's usually like a 8th to 12th place contender most races with upside for more depending on strategy, but starting in 8th, I think it's just likely he probably loses a couple spots or finishes around 8th, which I don't think is going to be enough at his price point to pay off. I'd rather play Chris Buescher, starts almost double the spots further back. RFK teammate Brett Keselowski, they've just been incredible at the short flat tracks this year, and Buescher hasn't been too bad either. 12.5 average finish, running position right around 15th. Always in the top 20, 4 top 15s, 2 top 10s. I think he'll be a borderline top 10 contender here, so I guess it's more of a tournament guy, 8,300 bucks. Obviously, you're not going to play him in cash games. Bowman, I think it's highly unlikely I get much Bowman at all. I don't really see him sticking around the top 5 for the majority of the day. There's obviously some other better cars that are going to move up. Don't see him being a dominator, so 8,200 bucks, probably at the pass there. But I do think Josh Berry is not a bad option here. So he's kind of cheap. He's starting in 10th. We have seen at these shorter flat tracks that Berry's going to have some upside. He was very fast last week at Iowa. And as the tires do end up falling off a little bit, obviously Berry's shown that he can succeed in those kind of conditions. So I am not anti-Josh Berry here. He'll definitely be in the tournament pool for me. Then we have the 7K range, and then we have probably Donkey Chonk Kyle Busch, 7,700 bucks starting in 30th. And I don't think he's going to be the highest owned driver, but I just feel like he's going to be overowned. The dude sucks at short flat tracks at RCR. If we're looking at his 6-race sample size here, average finish of 26.7, running position of 22nd, only 1 top 15 and 2 top 20s. And he is just a magnet for bad luck. It's either he has an issue on pit road due to his own, whether he's speeding, or he has an issue just because of his crew, or he spins out on the track, or just gets caught up in a wreck. I don't know, whatever it is. The dude just has horrible luck and just is slow at these track types. And let's not forget, none of these qualifying positions were earned. They kind of were earned last week, but it's not like based off of speed alone. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle Busch is just 20th or 30th most of the day. Obviously, if there's carnage and just strategy, he could get there, but speed alone, I don't think Kyle Busch will be that good, so I'll definitely be underweight. If you want to play him in cash games, I guess I get it, but even then, I just really probably don't like Kyle Busch too much this weekend. But Wallace starting in 17, just a hard guy to get to here. I know in the sample size, average running position of 12th, average finish of 13th. Like, he should be able to contend for a top 15, but he's more of like a 20 max, 150 max type of driver this weekend. And then we kind of have 3 similar plays here in Gregson, Briscoe, and Cindric. Gregson and Briscoe are like the same exact play. Their numbers are pretty even. Briscoe has some overall better finishes. So I guess with him starting 2 spots further back, I would have a slight lean there, but we're kind of splitting hairs. And then Austin Cindric won a Gateway early in the season. Shouldn't have won the race, but he was very good. He was dominating at some point, was running top 3. Like, he was good in that race. People give him that. Starting 29, I could see him probably being right around where his averages are, around 20th place, but he could be worse at $7,000. I'm all right with it. Just some like kind of slower PD plays here. You're not expecting fireworks in the 7K range. 6K guys, Daniel Suarez kicks us off starting in 11th. That's a weird spot to be in. Probably not going to have much interest there. McDowell starting in 25th. I mean, I really wish we had practice to see where some of these guys would line up. Average running position of around 20th for Michael McDowell at these track types. Average finish around 20th. Should want to move up a little bit, but I mean, not much. Ryan Preece, I do like, though. I like the Stewart Haas cars at these track types. I know the finishes have not been there for Ryan Preece. Average finish of 27th, despite the running position being around 20th, 0 top 20s in the 6-race sample size. We expanded to this 10-race sample size for Ryan Preece. It gets a little bit better. Like, I think Preece has some upside here. So if you want to play him in cash games as your cheap play, I'm fine with that. Todd Gillen, kind of in the same boat as Daniel Suarez. You're only playing these guys if you get the 20 to 150 lineups. Once again, Carson Hocevar, he's starting in 20th, and he's in a similar price range. Like, he is the same exact play every single week. And what I just said for Todd Gillen will probably apply to Carson Hocevar here. And the sample size, the average finish 16th, running position around 20th. Like, he is probably going to run around 20th for the majority of the day. Austin Dillon, I'm probably going to pass on. Justin Haley starting at 24th. I might be able to get down with that. You know, Haley's been rocking the RCR ride this year, starting in 24th. I could see him being a top 20 contender. He's just one of those guys where at the end of the race, you see him running 14th, and it's like, well, how did that happen? But he just quietly makes his way towards the front. He's a great driver. So I'm not going to rule out Justin Haley. Ricky Stenhouse is starting too far up for me. Don't see him really holding on to that. Finished 5th last week, and we will thank him for those efforts because I'm sure most of us were on him, but not really seeing it this week. And then we are dumpster diving with these probably all terrible plays. Eric Jones starting in 32nd. I'm sure he's going to be slow, but based off of this sample size here, average finish of 22nd, running position of 22nd. I'm fine with the PD. He should move up a little bit. Ty Dillon's probably going to suck. He's in the 16 car, but is he going to be dead last? Probably be a tough battle between him, Hemrick, and Kaz Grala. So we'll see, and Harrison Burton. So we'll see what happens there, but he can't go back any further than where he's starting, so that's the plus side. Nemechek sucks. He'll probably spin at some point. Corey LaJoy, I will pass on. Zane Smith is more than likely going to be slow. You can throw him in the battle for last place. Harrison Burton sucks. You know, Hemrick kind of sucks. Kaz sucks. So really all we got here is Eric Jones and maybe Ty Dillon. But really it's just a matter of whoever pops in the lineup, just hope they kind of finish the race and these guys can end up crushing for you. But with that being said, guys, that's all I got for this week's video. Sorry if I just kind of sounded like, not really sure what to do, because that's the truth when we don't have practice in qualifying. It's a bit of a guesstimation. We can go off of track history, similar track history, but all in all, it's going to be a bit of a guessing game. But let's just hope the guys that have showed speed at similar tracks this year will once again do it. It's not going to be a 1-to-1 ratio in exact science here, but let's kind of hope that's how it forms for the most part. But hopefully I'll see you all on the live stream tomorrow. We're going to have to be a little bit earlier, maybe around noon or 1 p.m. So I'll see you all there. Hopefully the rain stays away. Wish you all the best, and I'll see you all next time.